This was yesterday, driving home right under Kensington and Allegheny, the heroin hub capital of the world. You would think that he just seemed like a UFO or something, but his eyes are closed.
Man, he is leaning. See, I thought they leaned forward. He's gonna. Man, he is leaning. See, I thought they leaned forward. He's gonna break his back. What? How can you even lean over like that?
There's certain times where, why didn't I record that? Because this was yesterday, that right at Allegheny, Kensington and Allegheny, it's like the dirtiest spot, all the trash. And what I was saying was, there should be like 10 trash cans over here.
In front of the stores and just throw their trash. You know, there's really no excuse for that. Unless they're just not putting up enough trash cans. Maybe that's the city's problem. Maybe who the mayor is in my own town here, but maybe he should have more trash cans so people can throw their shit away. What do you think? Because I don't even see any trash cans. Well, let's see what we got here.
So what happened today was, I'm driving to work, going in the opposite direction, right at K&A. And then there was like a big dump truck stacked with trash bags filled. And there was like, it seemed like 10 people in that direction, 10 people over there. And these city workers were cleaning up the streets. Maybe it's a coincidence that I said that they should probably get trash cans. Not that they should go around cleaning up after everybody's mess all the time. But one way of starting out is, my guy, can you give these poor bums some trash cans? Maybe even a porta potty here and there. I mean, they're going to be there anyway, so isn't it more sanitary to just say, you know what? These bums are going to be here. They're not going to leave, so we might as well at least accommodate, considering the fact that we're the ones that got them addicted to heroin in the first place. All we got to do is just cut off all travel from the heroin that's brought into America. If Adam would wake up, he would do that. And then help people who, you're a bum. All right, well, I'm working on something to fix these things, but it might take a little bit of time. But you know what? In the meantime, here's a couple trash cans. It's got to be kind of hard you got to go to the bathroom, you got to take a crap. You're homeless. Where are you going to go? You probably got to go to an alleyway. Why don't, here, have a couple, let's put a porta potty on each corner. Just like they do when they have races or when they have events in Philly, people running, and they got like thousands of porta potties all along. They're not there all the time. They're only there temporary. But why can't you put a porta potty, one on each block, a couple trash cans on each block? It'll be more sanitary. You can afford it. The bums aren't going anyway. They're going to be there anyway. You already have the program where you have porta potties delivered to certain places and they pay you. So that's what it is, right? You're not getting paid for it. That's what it is. Why do you have to make money when you're the government? So if you can do whatever you want to do and you have the ability to just point and things just start happening, I want a point right there. I want a porta potty on that corner. I want at least 2 trash cans right there. And then a couple more in the middle of the street, a couple more at the end of the block, and then another porta potty. Until you start fixing the program of how people get paid and the amount of work that they do, things that can be available, but you have to also cut off the head of the snake. If the head of the snake isn't cut off, none of this will happen. And this is just a way of easing the uncomfortableness of people that just are unfortunate. My dad got stuck into the same thing. He was a heroin addict. Then he stopped doing the heroin, and then he went with the methadone and the Xanax combination. He was no better than any of these people, sleeping on the couch all the time. When I go over there, he's just asleep. He's nodded out. So you don't even feel like being there. And then my stepmom had to deal with that portion of it. Right here in Kensington. So I don't want to see my pop suffer. At least he had a place to go to the bathroom. He had a place to take a shower. And he looked as horrible as the worst looking people in Kensington Ave. Within his last 5 years, he just looked like a Kenzo, like everybody else, blended right in. But it was my pop. Still loved him. Still went and visited him as much as I could without. I used to get mad at him, and then my wife told me, she's like, you might want to go over there and see him, because you might feel bad if he dies, and then you don't get to talk to him, like holding a grudge because he just wanted to die out. He just wanted to do I understand now, but at the time I didn't. When you're dying of cancer, you're not telling anybody. Then you're dying of whatever, and you basically want to go to your dreamland because that's where you're comfortable. I get it. So I went and seen him, and then probably a month later he died. So my wife was right. Maybe she knew something that I didn't know. She can just sense. My sister Dawn can sense when people die because she's a hospice worker. That's why she took him to her house. And then 3 days later he died. So she obviously knew he was on his way out, because he's in pretty bad shape. But it's no different than any other person here. Black, white, Mexican, Chinese, it doesn't matter. These people are just not very fortunate. So at least you can do is just give them some porta potties. The city makes money hand over fist with everything, especially parking, especially in Center City. The amount of tickets they write a day. But what I do appreciate is the video is uploading right now. I drove by there today and I seen people cleaning up. And then again, if they shouldn't have to do so much cleanup if they would just leave some trash cans along the way and let at least 75% of the trash is going to be thrown in a trash can. If you come by and pick it up on time, it'll be a constant flow of, oh wow, look, a trash can. What do you expect them to do with the trash if there's no trash cans? What do you expect these people to do that are homeless, broke, drug addicts, just down and out? Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit about them. I don't know them, but I lived in a neighborhood a lot of my life in Kensington. But it's never been as bad. And it's not that hard to fix. Just like you're never going to fix it overnight, but because I said something about it yesterday and I seen people cleaning today, and I wish I recorded it, because they were like, a bunch of big dudes like in suits and stuff, and they're like cleaning everything up. Like, did I create that? Or was it scheduled to clean up the next day? Did I just drive by the day before and I seen it pointed out, like, come on, man, you got to get this trash cans there. And then randomly the next day that they came by and cleaned up the place? The only thing I could try to prove is that that's true is the streets in the same exact spot yesterday and today when the video uploads. But my phone is really being slow about it today. So I have a way to ease the pain of people just by talking about things needing to be cleaner. Maybe I was just there at the right time, the right place. I said something, and then, like always, the coincidence of the next day, just shit happened, or people talking about the same thing I'm talking about in videos that have the highest profile channels on YouTube. Probably just random circumstance.
All right, there's one, but that's not really a city. There's one that's overflowed. There's nothing here, nothing there. There's a couple there, but they actually bagged up their own trash.
That's a good spot to see because I recorded it again today with a couple leaners. And I was asking, the people listening in when I push record, if you're that high and you do the lean over, why is it that you feel like you need to stand up? Just sit down. Sit down so you don't bang your head on the ground. But what I'll do is I'll compare the trash yesterday and then today. And it just would have been a better visual if I would have recorded them cleaning it, even if they do it once a week and I didn't know. But the fact that I'm saying it and then it still happens anyway. The result is the next day people were cleaning up. Did they put trash cans along the line? Like I said, no, they didn't do that. But was it cleaner today than it was yesterday when I was talking about driving by somewhere? I mean, that could be a really good sign that I can drive by places and say maybe that should be like this and that, and then it happens, and then I can start doing that for the rest of my life, even if I never meet anybody.
There should be about 10 trash. There should be about 10 trash cans all on the side there.
So slowly, because here's what I would do at my next scene, because I produce movies every day. My series. This is just I produce Robin Hood series. I would have went to the clip where you just seen 10 people cleaning up, like I said, and I would have counted out 1, 2, 3. All right, well, it's not 10 trash cans, but it's 10 people. And that's like the communication, how you guys do things. And I couldn't record, I couldn't capture it. Man, I'm mad now about that, but I'll get over real quick. Because you guys know it's true, the ones that have sent people to clean it up or have the timing of the scheduled cleanings in Philly, so it's like at Kensington and Allegheny on January 3rd, we're going to be cleaning at 7 in the morning. And then January 10th, they'll do the same thing. That could already be in play, but if it's not, it should be. But there should be more trash cans along the line, and they should. No, I'm not asking for too much, am I? For the homeless people that I have no connection with, besides I lived in Kensington to start with, I'm not asking for too much, am I? You put trash cans along the line to start with, and then have them pick the trash cans up. That way they can constantly throw stuff in the trash can. What they're doing now is they don't see a trash can. Everything is just thrown like it's nothing. Are you going to have to learn? Yeah, people might you might even have some bums like, yo, what are you doing? There's a trash can. I'm like, oh, I'm not used to it. A trash can. Wow, what a. It's like, they'll be like, you'll probably have homeless people saying, oh, thank God they're picking up the trash can again. Wow, we have stuff to throw out now. Do you think all bums really feel like dealing with that trash stuff, but they have no choice but to just throw it because there's no trash cans?
There should be 10 more right there. There should be 10 of them over there, 10 of them over there.
And that's the perfect segue for the scene that I seen with my own eyes today, but I didn't record it because it would have showed you all the people cleaning it up.
Man, he is leaning. I thought they leaned forward. He's gonna break his back. What? How can you even lean over like that?
Now, should I be laughing at that? Is that wrong to laugh? No, it's not. It's entertainment. At the same time, it's entertainment, but you could also help ease their pain, Elite. What do you think? You think you can put some trash cans along this island here too? Or no, don't do that. They'll get hit. No. Forget about that. They'll be getting hit by cars trying to throw trash in the cans. No, that was a bad idea. Or maybe they will do that because that's what they want, right? Trash cans. Let's get some trash cans in here. I'm campaigning for trash cans. I want to see trash cans along Allegheny, Kensington, and Allegheny. I want to start seeing trash cans. You can start with one on each corner if if you're not comfortable with leaving them unchained in the middle of the. Is that what it is? You're afraid they're going to take them away. So, all right, well then, let's chain them to the ground. And they can no, you can't do that. Well, yeah, you put a trash bag in it, so you can just take the trash bag out. I want to see trash cans all throughout Kensington Ave, and I'm going to keep driving by there probably daily to see if there's any changes or to even, you know what, I even want to see how often they pick the trash up. So I'll just keep making my routes right down there because I work down the road from there near Girard and under the L. This is right at Somerset and Kensington Ave. Now, is that a serpent coming up and out? Or is it just a number 2? Or is it a piece of turd, which is still a number 2? Or is it a serpent because it's twirling around here and it's going down here and then it comes out here like a rattlesnake? Now, this is a picture of, it's right at my work. It's from this side, this very attractive female turns into a witch with her nose there. And then you see on this, see here, sure that's more like a scorpion. Now, you see her cat eye, right? And then the other eye, I believe it's winking because the eyelash is down further. So it's a slit eye as a reptilian. And when you go this way, she starts to get more witchy. This resembles the Statue of Liberty as that look to it. The head, I can't tell. Maybe it's a clown or it's a lion. You see, you start with the nose here and the mouth going straight down like a lion. Yeah. And then here's the whiskers going up. Here's the eye. Here's the other eye and the lion's hair at the top. See this lion here? Even his eyes are closed. This is a dead-on match. Look how perfect this fits. I mean, look at that. The nose lines up with the nose. The eyes line up with the eyes. So even the bottom, you can see the bottom of the hair, or actually the top of the hair is the bottom of the lion's face. So why is a lion on her head? Maybe it's in her brain. Remember, the Statue of Liberty stands on top of an 11-pointed heptagram. So the Statue of Liberty is standing on top of, to me, I've always interpreted it as the 11, there's the 10 kings, and then there's the one that has given all their power over to, and then there's the liberty that stands on top of those 11, which would make her the 12th. And then there's the 12th, or there's the 13th, which is, because then there's her. And she has the 12 along with her. And so she's following the white rabbit. I heard this is the year of the rabbit, 2023. So she would represent the one with the 12 stars above her head, clothed with the sun and the moon beneath her feet. So the moon, if it's beneath her feet, and what you see in the next theme is Barack Obama's foot, then maybe that represents when the sun is under her foot. The sun is the lesser light. The moon, or not the sun. The moon is the lesser light that rules the darkness. It rules the night. So with Lucifer being referred to as the moon, and you got Christophilus up there watching Truman, the Truman Show, gang stalking him his whole life, then Lucifer representing the moon beneath her feet, clothed with the 12. Obviously, they're all imprisoned. They're all barbed wired. So they're all slaves to the system, the 12 disciples. And so it's her. She has the fruit in her hand. It looks like she's clothed with the sun. So if the moon is by her feet and Barack Obama's foot it runs into, and then he starts, like, he's looking at Robin's videos there, because this is actually in the classroom when after he graduated. Watch. You see I was wondering that's the house burning, falling. He's in the same exact spot. So she's over here. He's looking at the flower, because the flower, the two became one. Right before that, he's laughing. Oh, he's giggling. Look at him. That's real funny. You got 10 kings, Tennessee, You have evil, but it's love in the opposite direction. You got 101, and in the Philadelphia landscape, you have Eve, and then 101. Right across from where it looks like this is that up there. This is that. So that was what was dripping down his forehead, apparently. Like that. Because when you have Eve and 101, and you have evil and LOL, after this, Bangs winking his eye, laughing a lot. Boy, look at those fangs. Eve and 101. And then with George Bush is telling you, he's saying F you, F you, F you, F you, F you. Show the middle finger real quick, F you. But really, you're effing yourself. Because he's showing you the F, and then his middle finger there, it was out more with the F you. Clearly, it's F you. Pay me, is what George Bush is saying. So he transforms into Barack Obama. Maybe he got a head pop, or it's just changing from one mask to another, letting you know that he's the same person. George Bush, the 7th and of the 8th. It's all fun and games. LOL. Until she starts to follow the white rabbit. And because this is the year of the rabbit, apparently, Barack Obama it's like she gives the fruit back. It's at his foot. The atom is split in two. The atom is split in two into Robin and Barack Obama. Nephilim. Those two become one.
I want to thank Mr. Philadelphia because he's what her last name is.
It's not that he's sweating. It's just what I showed you earlier that was on the chalkboard. And right across the street, it's Rocket Man. So that tripped on his forehead that was coming down his face, just like in the drawing that Jonathan Kleck drew, or said that Dean Haywali drew it. Winner. So he's in that classroom, and now his face, like at this moment right now, January 3rd, 2023, right about now, should be that face. I want to look at this again. So the baby's getting ready to be born. The serpent eye it's looking to devour and looking you see how it's like an opening, like a V-shaped opening, something's coming out. The serpent's looking to devour. Now it's going to bounce back and forth, because here's the thing. If it's showing this baby here and it's showing the serpent's head as if this is a son of man, right? The son of man, because there's a man here and it's like his own seed, obviously. So then imagine this portion is his real life, but he just isn't quite, he's still not awake yet. His heart's on fire, but at the same time, he's going to be looked at as the Antichrist. Now, here we go into the spiritual world, but first he's going to show you that he has a mark on his forehead, and there's a third eye inside of his brain there. And he has barbed wire around his head. What's going to happen is the serpent's going to come out of his forehead, which means once it shows the serpent, that's in spirit world. He's really already fully alive. This is all going on inside of his head, and obviously he's still sleeping. And then it's the same as where Steve Ben-Nun here is, his eyes are closed. He's sleeping. And then if you look at Adam, who his eye looks like it's closed, and it seems like he's sleeping because he has the Adam's apple. This is the United States map. It would help if the smoke screen would go away. But his nose is right here, and follow it down, his nostril, and then his Hitler mustache with his front lip here and his bottom lip, and then the chin going down to goatee, and then his Adam's apple. So if that's Adam, then Eve must be in front of him. Eve here, riding the beast, the elephant in the room. Eve, the woman. Adam, the male, coming in to the system. Literally. So Adam needs to wake up. Adam needs to wake up. So it seems like Adam is awake now. Maybe his ear was, maybe at one time he didn't have the ear to hear. Because at some point we're all sleeping. We're all dead. Now, maybe that turns into Florida. Maybe that turns into Florida. But it also turns into RoboCop. So you take the head and the nose and the side portion here and just add the head to it. It's a perfect fit. So this is like a pair of legs. And then there's like a split there. Maybe that's where they got the name fruit roll up. And then this portion is more like a dinosaur, T-Rex, like this little guy here. He's down here, just placed the eye in there. I don't even know when did I stop it? I thought I had it recorded, but it was paused the entire time I was talking. All right, well, let's see. I said that's a T-Rex. Has that T-Rex look to it? Where'd the little guy go? There he is. Down there, T-Rex. And then you have the lion. Which fits. I gotta enlarge that. Nose right there. The eyes line up. You get the cursor out of the way. Right there. So it's definitely a lion. But what I'm seeing is this lion is sticking its tongue out. Right here. It looks like that's a fang. But the front of the face is here on this side. And it looks like a fang sticking out. But the mouth is closed with the tongue sticking out. Because this is the bottom of the jaw. And it goes around. And the lion's eye, this one is open. You can see it. This one is winking like that, right there. This is the lion's nose. And it's winking and sticking its tongue out. But he's looking at the witch. He's looking at her. Doing that to her. The Statue of Liberty here. She's looking at that. And this kind of looks like a set of legs. And then in between here is like a V shape with this worm sticking out. And maybe it's like the fruit roll-up. And maybe it's the same thing as Pulp Fiction in that briefcase, the golden ratio measure. And so maybe she's just looking at it like maybe she just opened the suitcase. I mean, who knows? And then because it looks like the Statue of Liberty, and this is a great detail on the very top of the Statue of Liberty's head, right around the corner from my work.
I was reading a little story about a man who
Today is January 3rd, 2023.
Some years ago was examining a photograph that was taken of the top of the Statue of Liberty from a helicopter. So they photographed the top of the Statue of Liberty. Some photographer who was in a helicopter photographed it. And the man was examining the detail on the top of the Statue of Liberty. And it struck him that there was as much detail on the head and the crown that no one would ever see. As much detail up there as was on the front. And he started thinking about it. You know, when this statue was cast, when it was made, there were no airplanes or helicopters. So the artist thought it is just as important to give detail to what nobody sees to what everybody sees. Understand, God always has the helicopter view. All things are naked and open before the eyes of Him with whom we must give an account. Louis Sperry Schaefer used to say, secret sin on earth is open scandal in heaven.
Don't you live, isn't that where you're at? New York?
Came on my frequency and he said that he heard
I mean, or at least that's your station of claim.
a suspicious transmission when they were leaving Boston. Oh yeah? Everybody stay in their seat. That's what they heard.
Ago was examining a photograph that was taken of the top of the Statue of Liberty from a helicopter. So they photographed the top of the Statue of Liberty. Some photographer who was in a helicopter photographed it. And the man was examining the detail on the top of the Statue of Liberty. And it struck him that there was as much detail on the head and the crown that no one would ever see. As much detail up there as was on the front. And he started thinking about it. You know, when this statue was cast, when it was made, there were no airplanes or helicopters.
Yeah.
So the artist thought it is just as important to give detail to what nobody sees to what everybody sees. Understand, God always has the helicopter view. All things are naked and open before the eyes of Him with whom we must give an account. Louis Sperry Schaefer used to expect many of you to remember this. Some of you will, but there was a book written way back when, like in the 60s, by Rabbi Harold Kushner called Why Bad Things Happen to Good People.
So that's the top of the head. I mean, it looks like a brain, right? It just looks like that's all they need is this portion of the brain to pop into the next body to continue on living and remembering and being in a brand new body. So that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. I saw, what did I see again? 7 heads and 10 horns. 7 heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where would the 10 horns be at? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know how many, if that makes a difference or not. Yeah, it's definitely like the Statue of Liberty. If this has a lion in its head, but the lion is winking his eye and sticking out his tongue at the witch, maybe he just has a sense of humor, like the Lion of the tribe of Judah. because the witch's time is up. There you go. It's a perfect fit. Statue of Liberty, that looks like Donald Trump. Now, automatically, when I see the curly tail, it has more of a wrap to it, like a hot dog in the middle. Kind of like a pig in a blanket. Has that look to it. I wonder if that represents like the Ten Commandments, that book that's in her left hand, because she has seven heads, seven different, point of references on her head, and then with 10 kings, and then 10 commandments, but that would be like Moses. Yeah, look, somebody even Mark's head. I don't know, but maybe that's supposed to look like Moses, but that looks like Donald Trump. I'm also just going to assume that there's a dead sheep behind this ear somewhere, because there's too much going on by that ear. And now John DeClerc loves talking about the people drawing pictures of him with a dead sheep behind his ear, but I just can't quite figure out which portion it is. Or even just turning to a scorpion stinger with the pig in a blanket down here. Stinger, and then the pig in a blanket.
Suspicious transmission when they were leaving Boston.
And then they had a suspicious transmission on the ground right by Murray God Street. It's suspicious. Landing on the side of the concrete like that, just scooted over, rolled out of the building when all the noise was happening. As you can see, it's a sunny day. They even said it that day. It's like beautiful day. The sun is down here, but this is a canopy. And you see the poles there. So it's a roof. It's being covered because there's no sun. If there wasn't a roof, the ground would be sunny just like that is. But because it's not sunny, and this suspicious transmission, supposedly came from an airplane, is sitting here. Not only that, there's a couple poles that are really close together in the front here. So if it fell through the roof, there would be some type of a sun patch, like this little tiny sun patch, or there would be you would just see it right here. This entire part would just be opened up and bright white, but it's not. So I was showing this video the day before, I believe. Wake up, Rob. Wake up. Or no, this was the 22nd. Skip was talking about that on
some years ago, was examining a photograph that was taken of the top of the Statue of Liberty from a helicopter. So they photographed the top of the Statue of Liberty, some photographer who was in a helicopter.
I know, this is from yesterday, but the video was from Saturday, right? Right before the New Year's.
The second night, he asked for a ladder.
So
I really don't want anything. I don't want.
Ford dealership, my hospital, and just about nothing else in sight along the route.
an electrical engineer. He was a physicist. He was a
January 2nd. Same thing, January 2nd.
chemist. He was a mathematician.
Today.
He was just a brilliant guy. He was so smart that when Henry Ford started building his automobiles,
Now, Henry Ford. Now I can easily identify where the Ford dealership is. Just follow the nose cavity. Go down here to where there's like a baby's head, like a Gerber baby. And you'll see the Ford dealership and where I was born. Where I was born, see that hat?
You know that the second coming of Jesus Christ dominates the Bible. Next to the subject of faith, the coming of Christ in the future is the most discussed topic in the book. You know how many times? Dominant themes of Scripture. Did you know that? The second coming of Jesus Christ dominates the Bible. Next to
And it's pretty similar, right? That was today, right? Today? Or was it yesterday? Either way, the last video showing that. But before that, so my middle name is Henry. I'm born at this hospital. And so this is the Ford dealership, Bartow Ford. Okay, obviously Henry Ford. Not that I think he's alive anymore. Or is he? Or who knows? But he has this ownership that's right next to where I was. What is that, like a football field? Can't be more than a football field's length away. And then there's really not too much in this desert from that point on. And then when I'm looking at it from the top, first thing I see is number 1.
he had a problem in his factory in Dearborn, Michigan. And he knew that since a machine broke down, nobody can fix it. There is only one person who can fix my generator, and that is Charles Steinmetz. So he called for Steinmetz to come in and fix his. Came to the plant in Dearborn, Michigan. They offered him the best engineer team with him, the best tools, and he said, I really don't want anything, I don't want anyone, all I want is a pencil, a notebook, and a cot to sleep on. So he moved the cot by the broken generator with his pad of paper and his pencil. He started writing notes and making calculations and looking around and making observations. And the second day, he lapsed into the second night, and on the second night, he asked for a ladder. Around and making observations, and the second day, he lapsed into the second night, and on the second night, he asked for a ladder. And he climbed up the ladder on this generator at a certain point, observing it, and he took a piece of chalk and he made a single mark on the generator. Well, he got the Then he told the skeptical team of engineers at Ford Motor Company, remove the plate where I made the chalk mark and replace 16 winds of the field coil. And they were skeptical. They thought that'll never work, but you know, they did.
16. I don't know if you count, would you say wineskins? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Are you talking about those 16?
Mark and replace 16 winds of the field coil. And they were
Field coil. It looks like there's 16. Yeah, you can see. Oh, look at the serpent coming out of the. Look at the serpent. Oh, I gotta look at this. The serpent coming out with the fang and the eye here. The fang, the mouth opened up. Wait, I'll get to that in a minute after you see this. Is that a lion? With his. He's winking his eye like the lion. Like the picture with the Statue of Liberty around the corner. On the top of her head, the lion. With his tongue sticking out. And the serpent right there, so it's like the witch. What kind of world am I living in? All right, one thing at a time. I'm sorry, Skip. I get carried away. Continue.
skeptical. They thought that'll never work, but you know, they did it. And you know what happened?
These are coils. Coil 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wait a minute. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Because this is like a tongue sticking out. It's pink. So there's 16 coils.
It worked. It worked. It worked. And Henry Ford was elated. He was so happy. I knew Charlie could fix it. He was elated.
I want to thank Mr. Philadelphia, Charlie.
Night, he asked for a ladder. And he climbed up the ladder on this generator at a certain point, observing it, and he took a piece of chalk and he made a single mark on the generator. Then he told the skeptical team of engineers at Ford Motor Company, remove the plate where I made the chalk mark and replace 16 winds of the
Chalk
field
mark.
coil. And
Chalk mark. I got to go to it. So this is like a. Which one do you consider the chalk mark? That looks like a chalk mark. It's like 16 coils of wine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 with a chalk mark. Generator. I can see it looking like a generator. It has that electric that, with the cars parked in there, of course. Designed that way. Each color, guaranteed each color was put there so it can have its certain look to it.
they were skeptical. They thought that'll never work, but you know, they did it. And you know what happened? It worked. It worked.
All right, so here's the thing. If Skip was really talking about this, like, come on. He's talking about Henry Ford. I'm showing my birth certificate where I'm born at. He shows something that has a hat that looks like that. Yeah, maybe. Henry, middle name, Ford, right next door. Make a chalk mark. Replace 16 coils. That'll never work. Talking about one. It looks like there's another lion's face here. Get to the one in a minute. All these things. And he said it worked. As if he already looked at the future and knew that I would understand what he's saying. That is just where devils roll the dice and angels roll their eyes.
It worked, and Henry Ford was elated. He was so happy. I knew Charlie could fix it. He was elated.
Henry, my middle name, Ford dealership, Charlie Mack.
Until he got the bill in the mail.
Now, when I'm showing you this yesterday, I found the number one for the first time. Whatever Skip is talking about, I already found the number one. I already found it. I found it at the Ford dealership. I found it right next to where Robin Henry Tees was born. And I didn't realize about the 16 coils with a chalk mark either. So then he starts talking about the bill, and he divided the bill into $1 for, and then $9,999 for
mail. Now the bill in the mail from Charles Steinmetz's company, General Electric, was for $10,000. A hefty sum in those days, a hefty sum any day.
Electric.
He said $10,000 for doing the bill in the mail from Charles Steinmetz's company, General Electric, was for $10,000.
Now that's kind of funny that I type in one.
Now the bill in the mail.
I type in O-N and then on your knees, House of Cain. It's funny.
Mail from Charles Steinmetz.
Oh, and I won. I won on your knees, House of Cain. I won. And I'm not even paying attention to any of this. The needle with 4 X's on Liberty 1, just like Liberty 2.
His company, General Electric, was for $10,000. A hefty sum in those days, a hefty sum any day.
Right there. I don't know. I may have heard it, but I wasn't focusing in on. I wasn't showing you the number one because I knew that Skip was talking about number one and 9,999. I showed you the number one because I just found it. And then here's what he said just, I don't know, seconds later.
He said $10,000 for doing that? So he wrote back to Steinmetz and he said,
because as he's saying it, I'm not thinking, or I would have kept it on the one.
I demand an itemized bill. Steinmetz wrote back and said, all right. For making the chalk mark, $1. For knowing exactly where to make the chalk mark, $9,999. Now the bill in the mail from Charles Steinmetz's company, General Electric, was for $10,000. A hefty sum in those days, a hefty $10,000 for doing that, making the chalk mark, $1. For knowing exactly where to make the chalk mark, $9,999.
Wow.
See, it's not about making the chalk mark, it's about knowing exactly what to do.
How awesome is that? Wow, Skip. You led me to the Ford dealership with the chalk mark and the 16 coils. And that's never going to work. But it did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 coils. General Electric. Generator. It looks like a generator. And Henry was born here. But at the same time, the serpent with the teeth, the mouth, the fangs. Either way, it's a fang. Get closer to it. The higher up you look at it, the more of a serpent it turns into. And then this lion here has that face, but this lion is winking his tongue. Winking his tongue. Sticking out his eye and winking his tongue. Right there. Right eye winking, left eye open, tongue sticking out. Right. Hold on, what did I say? Right eye winking, left eye open. Right eye winking, left eye open, tongue sticking out. There's also a fang. Right eye winking, left eye open, tongue sticking out. And there is a fang on this side over here, further over. Man, look at that chalk mark. That's like an official dead-on communication between me and Skip Heitzing. That's dead-on, rock-solid, absolute what he's talking about. How can it not be? How can that not be what he was just talking about? What does that matter? It does. It just does. I don't know who Skip really is, but it doesn't matter. All I got to do is communicate and show you what I'm seeing, what I feel like you're telling me with this generator here. It also has like an eye and a nose in this direction, and it's kind of the plowing through. It's like a machine plowing through at the bottom with travel. It looks like travel behind it. And with SpongeBob SquarePants, it looks like he's digging out an area, and it has something to do with General Electric. And it looks like it's inside dug inside the ground. What Henry Ford, he knew Charlie would be able to find the generator and then mark on the spot of it why this cost $1, but to know where to put the mark at is what cost $9,999. And I've heard that story before. I heard Skip talk about it before. I remember it. But now it has actual meaning to it. Because there's the meaning of it right there. What he's doing is connecting the fact that, well, yeah, Robin, you were definitely born here. It's definitely a magnet. Look, you're literally drawing me to you like the magnet, like these beasts. And you're compassing the camp of the saints. As an 8th ruler. And then this is the part where, you see, this is here right now. On January 3rd, 2023, 8:54 p.m., I claim that the communication between me and Skip Heitzing with this little situation, this little scenario,
that I demand an itemized bill,
is absolutely solid. And for the first time, I'm able to really show you a reference point to make it that way, to confirm what it does is it confirms everything that I've been showing. And it says you're on the right path. You're in the right area. You're showing the right stuff. You're interpreting it correctly. And I'm going to show you even more just to really make it solid. And at the same time, this could be as if it's a set of legs with the feet, the shoes, the pair of shoes. And then in the middle is like this magnetizing thing that even if it's a female like that, then what comes out is magnetizing for the beast of the earth. Trap them. When you look at it in that aspect. Oh, get your spatulas out, because as Jonathan Kleck always says, it's your jaw is going to be unhinged. Joel Karim right here, your jaw is going to be unhinged as you put your foot in your mouth. But as Matthew Daly said, you got to take your foot out of your ass first and then put it in your mouth. Like if you're shown something in the future that there's no way you can deny what it is. And then because it's Joel Karim with his jaw unhinged, and like the spatula that you got to get out because of your jaw being unhinged. There it is. Get your spatula out. This is Joel dropping revelations. There's an elephant in the room. Joel Karim, me at the zoo. These animals are all coming in. You got the bear here. You got the gorilla. The travel is going in that direction. They're turning in. All these trees are representing the beast of the field. They're all coming. It looks like they're all in that direction too, like going. That's the crazy thing about all these trees is they look like they're all going in that direction, which means they're all being magnetized to go to Bartow Regional freaking Medical Center for some reason. You see how everything looks like it's heading forward? Like heads are in that direction. This looks like a tail and it's moving forward like a horse's foot going in that direction. And the main ones at the front. And you can see the electromagnetic field that it has. The magnet drawing them all in this direction. So I must have a twin. When I was circumcised, they may have used that portion to clone my evil doppelganger. And then maybe that doppelganger stole my birthright. Or I was born first. And normally the firstborn is what the elite take up. But instead, maybe they left me as the firstborn. And then my twin, Pearl, went to the elite's family, and I was just left down here to rot. But I didn't rot. I actually did the exact opposite. In the future, you'll understand why I dominated the world and destroyed it and created a new one. Because I don't know who these people really are on the YouTube platform. I just know all I got to do is keep showing you the power of God, show you what it does, show you the number one with everything that I came into YouTube platform with. And the number one stands alone. Bartow, Florida. Bartow Ford. It only needs 100 more photos to go. And here's also the other thing. If I didn't watch Skip's video, you know how bad I would feel knowing that he went through all this work to try to confirm everything that it is about my birth, and I didn't watch it, or I just didn't catch on to it. And you know, sometimes people try to communicate, and I don't catch it. I pay attention to, so I'm everybody's highest trained reviewer, and I have a full-time job. So if I didn't have that full-time job, that would be make things a lot easier to really dial it in, because I know how important it is to just prove communication, just prove willing participants. Because whatever your stature is on this planet, others are watching my video who also have high positions, and they see what it is that I'm able to draw to me like a magnet. And I just started looking at where I was born since Christmas, basically. Christmas Day, I don't know what it was, but I had a thought. Let me look at my birth certificate. Let me see where I was born. Let me just see what's going on here. Why was I born in Bartow, Florida, when I lived, which is 14.1 miles away from my home, which was Ariana Avenue, that doesn't exist anymore, 1702. Why wasn't I born right around the corner, 4.1 miles at the Lakeland Hospital? Is it because John Cox said, I don't think so, Miss Tees. Not here. Not here. This is where El, the Almighty God, is going to be born. All right? So, whether you want to believe it or not, yeah, even though it's Mary Gardner, right across the street. Mary thought Jesus was the gardener. Because over here, it's El, the Almighty God. 50-50. 250s. 50-50. What Jonathan Fleck was saying. Showing you two $50 bills, but at the same time, it's El here. Because I live somewhere in this area. Instead of going right up, nope. Go all the way down. Go all the way down to Highland City, where the big head is. The big baby's head. Genie in a bottle. Lake Hancock. Just search for the Bartow Ford generator with the chalk line and the 16 coils, and see if that'll work. If you can find that place, just make the mark with a chalk. Chalk the mark, because it only costs $1 to make a mark. But to know where to make the mark at is what cost the $9,999 with this generator here. I'd have to say, if I was to draw a conclusion, this is a witch flying her broom or getting ready to fly it, or throwing a javelin in the air. The eagle has landed. What else is there in this? What am I missing? Help me understand what I'm missing, God. Because here's how prayers are answered for real. You pray out loud on a YouTube platform to God and say, hey, God, can you help me understand what else it is that's here that I'm missing? Is there anything else that I'm missing? You got the spatula. Why do you need the spatula? Well, because your Joel's going to drop. Why is your Joel going to drop? Because Joel Karim made a video 11 years, 11 months, and 11 days before I did. And when I hopped on to the YouTube platform, everybody is reading the Old Testament, eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So literally, here's your saying, a tooth for a tooth. I was born in District 8, and I'm of the 7. This is a purpose ruler. Right where the number 8 would be. So I'm born in District 8 with the main address 111 North 11th Street. And I came into YouTube platform with a 1 minute, 11 second video. And then 11 months later, and one day, Matthew Daly, who had 111 subscribers, crucified me from about 6 to 9:30 at night on that day. Ironically enough, on 3/2/2018, Skull and Bones. And then I find these ones here on my birth certificate. Then I find the actual number 1 over at Henry Ford when they gave me my middle name, Henry. And there's the number 1 because it costs $1 to make the chalk mark, but it cost 900,000,999 dollars to show you where I put the mark. And that is what cost the most.
Heaven opened. This is important. I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. He that sat upon him was called Faithful and True in Righteousness. He doth judge and make war. His eyes were a flame of fire. His head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. Isn't it interesting? This, as we no doubt, is talking about Jesus Christ, but he's got a name that no man knows but he himself, and yet everybody's got the name figured out now. It's Yeshua. It's Yahushua. It's Isa, or it's Jesus, or all kinds of names for Jesus now, just like they did with the name Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahweh. Oh gosh, I can't remember how many names they have now.
I can't remember how many names I have now. You know, also, with me talking with Skip here, I've shown this maybe 2 years ago that this is Skip Heitzing in the landscape. And he even said before that he was going to spray the ants like they're nothing. And that's exactly what it looks like Skip is doing here. Because these ants in Israel Looks like he was aiming to destroy Center City, Philadelphia. So it could represent the pharaoh. It has like a pharaoh look to it, the picture. So nevertheless, I'm talking with a spirit that the face that you have is implanted on planet Earth in Philadelphia. So you must be somebody pretty important in this world that people might not want to skip by you. So I just try to get on people's good side.
This is Calvary Church with Skip Isaac. We're so glad you've joined us today. Whether or not you follow the news, there's no question we're accelerating towards the end times. Prophecy.
That'd be pretty cool if you were the pharaoh in charge. Because you're over Jonathan Click. Because Jonathan Click is here, sleeping. It looks like it anyway. But then again, when it shows, when Stephen Noon shows his channel, the Noon Institute, it shows he's sleeping. And then when you zoom out and open heaven up, you see Adam here, who has his eye closed, and his Adam's apple, and his ear cut off, and a wounded head, but also has the hair like a woman, 2 horns like a lamb. This dragon here, or the beast. Is that a rabbit? Is a rabbit coming out of the mouth first? There's so many things in this picture, but this portion here kind of looks like it a little bit with the hands, the claws. Out of the mouth of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. They're thrown into a lake of fire. The armor bearer is a consuming fire, just like Christ. 4, 3, 2, 1. Before the fire has chains in his hands that are broken. He's coming down from heaven, from the above portion, looking to bound that serpent over here. See directly at this serpent here, even this one here, but eye contact directly with the Aquarian Pinocchio nose, who's a liar. It looks like Hitler with his Hitler stash. That's somebody on their knees. So if that's the house of Cain, it would be brought to its knees. How would you do that? Well, you have to show them who they are, what their landscape is, who they are on YouTube, what the landscape means. Florida there. Maybe he's in a tube. Like this is a feeding tube inside the Matrix with the nose and nostril. But it also looks like RoboCop. And you have this creature here coming at him. The eye in that direction. And the mouth, the jaw wide open. Like in the Pet Goat too. But then you turn it that way and it's a dinosaur T-Rex with a baby in the belly of the beast. The eye and the mouth and the nose. Happy little baby. mean, he's in the clearest, cleanest water there is. Basically, like crystal clear is what kind of water this baby's floating in. See that? Everything else is darker. This is like, that's got to be the most beautiful water on the planet. Where am I moving at? That's the Bahamas, right?
The upper room experience, where the 120 that had believed on Christ were waiting out of the room, and they were what? They were filled with the Holy Ghost. And they came out and they were speaking with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. And the Judeans, these devout men under every nation under heaven, when they heard this, see, it was noised abroad, the multitude came together, were confounded because every man heard them speak in his own tongue. Or
Replace 16 wines with the generator. Then he told the skeptical team of engineers at Ford Motor Company, remove the plate where I made the chalk mark and replace 16 wines of the field coil. And
I'm even pointing directly at it, not even knowing that it's the chalk mark at the time.
were skeptical. They thought that'll never work. But
I mean, that's freaking scary on like my end, just unconsciously catching fish on the boat, sleeping, like the Petco 2 thing. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just being led in this direction.
they did it. And you know what happened?
Look at that chalk mark. 16 coil wines. 10 down here and 6 up here.
It worked. It worked. It worked. And
how did you know it was going to work? That's what blows my mind. It blows my mind more that you knew that it would work than for me to actually show you what you're talking about. That blows my mind probably just as much as it would blow your mind that I can show you what you're talking about. The fact that you know it's going to work before I even show you is mind-blowing.
Henry Ford was elated. He was so happy. I knew Charlie could fix it. He was elated until he got the bill in the mail. Now, the bill in the mail from Charles Steinmetz's company,
on your knees,
Electric,
I1, was
for $10,000. A hefty sum in those days, a hefty sum any day. He said, $10,000 for doing that?
I always want to explain everything as I'm feeling it and going by it. I really want to make it clear that I had no intentions on showing the number 1 because of the 10,000 or even the chalk mark. Not even thinking of a chalk mark, but yet my cursor is pointing directly at it. Unconsciously aware of doing what I'm doing, and it just kept happening.
So he wrote back to Steinmetz and he said, I demand an itemized bill. Steinmetz wrote back and said, all right, for making the chalk mark, $1. For knowing exactly where to make the chalk mark, $9,999. See, it's not about making the chalk mark, it's about knowing exactly what to do. Events around the Christmas story were nighttime events.
So when you're able to hear in your own language, that's how Christ comes. Christ comes as a thief in the night. If you can't catch on to the nighttime communication pattern, then Christ, that spirit, will come as a thief in the night, and you'll never even know when it came, because you're not able to talk in the night. At some point, everything's brought to the light, but before everything's brought to the light, you have to speak at night and understand it in order to prove the existence of God.
Heard them speak in his own tongue or his own language.
So even every man heard on their own. When you watch these videos, you're going to hear in your own language, you're going to hear in your own tongue. So what are you saying off of your tongue? You're going to hear it in your own language, and others are going to watch and hear and see the same thing, and then they'll all say,
They never rest day or night, saying, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God, the all-powerful, who was and who is still to come. New Revised Standard Version. And the 4 living creatures, each of them with 6 wings, are full of eyes all around and inside.
that sounds like 24 elders, but it's really 4 people.
And they do not rest day and night, saying, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. We see here that these living beings do not rest, but they repeatedly offer a hymn to the one sitting on the throne. The expression, and they do not rest day or night, is very moving, very compassionate, and it shows the endless doxology towards God from the side of the angelic world.
What does Zechariah say over here? Ki shamanu, we have heard. Elohim imchem, God is with you. What happens in Acts? They were hearing every man speaking his own language, and they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? And how hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born? Parthians, Medes, Elamites, right? It goes down to all these names. Libya, Cyrene, Rome, Jews, proselytes, Cretes, Arabians. They said, what? We hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of God. What? We hear God is with you.